What's up, Unit BC? Coming at you with all the latest in the pro wrestling world. Not a lot of news today, but some really good discussion thanks to John Cena. Cena recently declaring that it is indeed Roman Reigns, the tribal chief, that is the greatest of all time. The GOAT, past, present, and foreseeable future. In the past and recently doubling down on the Mount Rushmore, the 4 names that he has up on that monument, 4 individuals. But now he is declaring that it is one of those individuals far above everybody else. Do you guys agree that it's Roman Reigns? And why? If not, why? Who else and why would you put somebody above Roman? That's the interesting thing, because John Cena gives you a reason, right? Why he has put Roman Reigns even above himself as the greatest of all time. You guys are going to want to hear this quote, because it leads to a lot of questions, right? John Cena could have been in that discussion. And by the way, I'll give you a quote from John Cena as to why he doesn't even put himself on that Mount Rushmore. Not even in the top 4 names. But you got to ask why he could have been. One big thing stopped John Cena from being one of the greatest of all times. And it's sad, and John Cena knows it. But maybe you guys don't feel it. Maybe you guys say, no, John is wrong. He should be on that Mount Rushmore. Maybe some of you guys say John Cena is the GOAT. So we're going to talk all about it in this upload. Should not take that long. I'll give you the quote from John Cena. We'll have a little bit of discussion for the upload, obviously, BC's take on it. And then you guys can obviously sound off as always. But it's an interesting conversation. I usually don't get into these type of talks with the Mount Rushmore and the GOATs because they're so subjective, right? There's really not a right or a wrong. There's viable and then there's silly, right? Like, there's names you could go, I could see that. Yeah, that's a top 4. It sucks that we have to leave out 100 other deserving individuals, but I can see that top 4. And then there's names you put in there, it's like, stop, like you're probably not going to see Duke the Dumpster Droese, or as much as I used to love the dude, Doink the Clown, I don't think he's going to be in a Mount Rushmore, right? So it's not a case of being right or wrong, it's viable or just silly. So that's a big reason I don't get into these type of discussions. But I mean, this is John Cena ahead of his retirement tour declaring that, no, just make no bones about it, because I'm going to hear that I'm the GOAT for the next year. This whole retirement tour, I'm going to hear I'm the GOAT or I'm on the Mount Rushmore. Let me just squash that right now. Roman Reigns is the dude. So we'll talk all about it, guys. It's coming up. I do want to just say, first and foremost, as you can see, we kind of have a deconstructed set. If you saw my Monday Night Raw review yesterday, you know why. One of you guys, one of my subscribers, one of my unit members, man, you guys put it best in yesterday's upload. You think BC just reached his breaking point with this show. And I think that's what happened, man. I think I just watched this Monday Night Raw. I'm taking the notes. I'm waiting for something to just be fun, right? I don't want to just see Ludwig hit Randy to set up a main event 3 hours later to just watch Randy beat Ludwig, and then the show ends with Gunther and Randy punching each other. I saw Randy RKO Gunther last week. I don't need to see some punches this week and then good night, everybody. You waited 3 hours for that? And that's supposed to get me excited for Gunther and Randy. CM Punk and Drew McIntyre are still fighting over a bracelet. 84 years ago they started that fight. That's what it seems like. You got 6 ladies going for 2 tag titles. All of them are pretty much heels to BC because we still don't have a reason why Kyrie and Io are faces other than they got attacked by other heels. And when the match ended, the crowd literally was sitting down and all you heard was crickets. Maybe you heard a pebble of a popcorn, a little popcorn kernel fall from a seat. Maybe you heard that. That's how quiet it was for that championship match. I don't even know what else. Miz was squashed by Bronson, and then Braun came out and Bronson ran away, because that's what beasts do. They run away. And then you had P.D. Dunne and Sheamus. They put on a banger. And we yelled, "This is awesome." And I don't know what else. Ivy and Maxine wrestled to a 2-minute no contest. The lights went out. The Wyatts started fighting American Made. And then we went to commercial. So I was waiting the entire 3 hours. Trust me when I say I was waiting for something to get exciting, right? Get me to the edge of my seat. It never happened. Unfortunately, it never happened. And a couple of, before I get into the John Cena talk, I do want to, this kind of goes hand in hand. There was a couple of super chats in yesterday's upload down in the comments. I appreciate that very much. Reese Monet! Reese with that $2 coffee. Reese said, I found the Democratic National Convention speeches last night more entertaining than Monday Night Raw. And that's sad. Reese, you weren't alone. Raw was up against the convention, obviously. But when I say you're not alone, guys, Monday Night Raw pulled a 1.6 rating. Down from the 1.89 the week previous. They lost over nearly 250,000 fans said no thank you to Raw this week. Now, clearly, I hope you understand, that's not all for the convention, right? This was all, you can use any excuse you want, right? You can put in presidential holidays, you could put in debates, you could put in conventions, you can put in birthdays. You could say it was nice weather. That was something new recently, right? One of the, was it AEW or WWE? They said nice weather contributed to low ratings. That was a different one. You could put in playoffs, big sporting events. You can use any excuse, but you still have to put your best show out there. And this was just not a good Monday Night Raw, right? We all know that. Whether you liked it or not, that's your prerogative. Much love, much respect if you really like this show. That's cool. This isn't about if you liked it or not. This was this a good show or not? We went through it segment by segment, what it did for the moment, what it does for everybody going forward. And it wasn't much. And this backs it up, guys. A 1.6 rating. That tells you everything you need to know. People who are more interested in just listening to speeches. A bunch of blah, blah, blah that most of it will never get accomplished more than likely, right? Doesn't even matter which side of the aisle you're on. A lot of these people are in it for themselves. But a lot of people are more interested in listening to that than watching Monday Night Raw. So there's no doubt that's a big part of the 250,000 people, but it's not the whole 250. You didn't lose 250,000 just because they wanted to watch presidential speeches and senators or whatnot. No, you lost 250,000 fans in 1 week because you just didn't put your best show out there. Because people will flock to it. They moved to Sci-Fi and they still pulled high 1.7, something like that, right? A few weeks ago, which is obviously still not good. That's really bad. The average is 1.7. That was the average a year ago, 2 years ago. I think it was 1.819. So these ratings are in the tank. That's the problem with Monday Night Raw. It's not a show that it's not must-see TV. Monday Night Raw is not a show people go, I have to watch tonight. Monday Night Raw is not a show in the first hour people are like, I'm putting the remote down. This is going to be entertaining. Damn, I can't wait for this 3 hours, what they have planned, what they see on paper, what is announced at the top of the show, what's happening during that first hour, first half of the show. It's not intriguing, and the fans are taking their remote and saying, deuces, ooses. That's what's happening, right? 1.6. Right, if BC critiqued these shows, I reviewed these shows, and I was really hard on them because I didn't feel they were good, and the ratings came out, and they were like 2.2, 2.3. They're up there with SmackDown now. Old school Monday Night Raw. And when I say old school, guys, 5-6 years ago, what happened to Monday Night Raw is they stopped producing good shows. Started with Vincent Kennedy McMahon and led right into Hunter Hearst Helmsley. But if they were smashing it in the ratings, of course, I'd be like, dude, I'm just wrong in my critiques. My reviews are wrong. But no, I'm always right. This show was an exceptionally bad show Monday night. The ratings showed you that. So when somebody, one of my tried and trues on this channel, one of my gold card channel members, when Reese in that super thanks super chat yesterday says, and I quote again, I found the Democratic National Convention speeches last night more entertaining than Monday Night Raw, and that's sad, end quote. Reese wasn't alone. Maybe it wasn't the convention, but they found anything other than watching Monday Night Raw. It wasn't fun to them. Watching Pete Dunne and Sheamus have a wrestling match just because it's a wrestling show, I know, what a concept. But these shows need to build stories. An average fan, they can only watch so many bangers. They don't care about how many stars are being placed on a match. Why should they care about Sheamus? Why should they care about Pete Dunne? Pete Dunne hits him with a ukulele last week, or a flute up his ass, or whatever it was, and now we gotta watch them wrestle for 15 minutes. It's not fun for a lot of people. CM Punk and Drew McIntyre, once again, just stare at each other, they say a bunch of words, it's all about trying to get a bracelet back, a bracelet! 3 months later, just give him his bracelet! Just give him the bracelet, man. Somebody make Punk a new bracelet! I said in the review, I mean, it's CM Punk with a microphone, probably one of the best parts of the night. But that's it. There's no story progression. Now it goes to a strap match. And maybe, after next Saturday, maybe Punk will finally have the bracelet back. Randy and Gunther. Where's the story there? They're face to face. They say a whole lot of nothing and Ludwig attacks. Wow, what a story. By the end of the night, they're punching each other inside the ring. No story. Come on. That's not creativity. You shouldn't need BC. BC should not be the only one to tell you that this show lacked creatively in every single area. And the number, once again, backed up exactly what BC said. So you can use conventions as an excuse. I look at things like conventions and holidays and big sporting events. I say that's just another spoke on the wheel for everything that made this number so low. Football's back in a few weeks. You're pulling in a 1-6 against a convention. Football's coming back. What's your average going to be this season for Raw? Are you going to really average 1-4, 1-5? Have we really sank that low? But you're not supposed to say it because don't forget, Hunter Hearst Helmsley's cooking. He's cooking. So because of that, you're supposed to go, everything's fine, man. Everything's good, man. The shows, they could be a little better, but for the most part, I mean, wow, we're cooking. We're cooking. Never mind the one, but basically don't worry about the numbers. I know they're losing viewers every week, but don't worry about that, man. The product is just, it's bumping right now. Some things are good. That's the good news. Too many things not. That's not the good news. So when BC does a review, no, I'm not going to lower my standards. I'm not just going to act like everything is awesome just because Hunter Hearst Helmsley is in charge. When it's good, I'll tell you, man. SummerSlam, I raved about that event. Paper, it did not look good. Everything was going to have to go perfectly. It nearly did at SummerSlam. I was hoping for that momentum, right? I'm the one who said the landscape has changed in WWE. Hopefully. All they have to do is carry the momentum. They took the momentum and they took a shit on it. They took a Mack truck and ran over the momentum. And now we're right back to Monday Night Raws like this. Not good. 1-6. I'm not surprised. I didn't need a convention to tell me that this was going to pull a 1-6. Football's around the corner. We'll start using that as an excuse for the next 4 months. But you see, of course it was a 1.3. Of course it was a 1-2, man. It was a good football game. There was a day when pro wrestling took on football head-to-head, and pro wrestling would whoop that ass. Now, I guess they just curl up in a ball and they say if it's bad, just blame football. Or conventions. Listen to old people give speeches about how they're going to change the world for the better. If you elect them, you're going to wake up and the clouds are going to shit sprinkles and Skittles. And there was also another, by the way, big super thanks super chat 10 spot, a couple of coffees from Ivan the Saint. Ivan, I appreciate the super thanks super chat, man. Ivan says, do you see Ronda Rousey returning in the distant future? She's pregnant now, But would you ever want to see her come back? It sounds like she'll only come back if she gets the Logan Paul treatment. Few dates and lots of preparation and planned out matches. Well, that's basically what you had to do with Ronda. What Vince did was Vince got tired of it. He's like, no, we're paying you so much money. You're better than this. We don't have to coddle you. Ronda has said in interviews, right, she wanted to be basically coddled. She thought that all of her matches should be planned out like WrestleMania. And that match was damn near flawless because they rehearsed it so much. It was Ronda Rousey and Kurt Angle versus Stephanie McMahon, Hunter Hearst Helmsley. And it was so planned out, it went near flawless. She was so damn good in that match. And Vince did that a few more times, and then Vince was like, all right, I think we can take the training wheels off now. And Ronda's like, no, put more training wheels on. The front, the back, the sides, on the handlebars. In case the bike flips over, we could still wheelie somewhere. She wanted more time with those training wheels. And Vince was like, no, we're not going to do it. And Vince absolutely, by the way, Vince and Kennedy McMahon absolutely just wrecked her booking. The booking was not there with Ronda. That was half the problem, if not more. And the other half, maybe not more, because the other half is just as important. So half of it was just bad booking by Vince and Kennedy McMahon. The other half was Ronda Rousey just did not live up to what Ronda Rousey should have been, I believe could have been. She wasn't as good as we had thought. And you guys, if you don't know, if you're new to the channel, I was a huge Ronda Rousey supporter. Still in many ways, even though I don't like the bitterness that she is stating now about WWE and the pro wrestling business. I can't stand that. That's what Punk did. When Punk left, he started getting really bitter and he started shitting on pro wrestling and acting like he was better than it and trashing fans. You know, Ronda started to do that. But until that point, man, I had Ronda merch and everything. This is way before wrestling when she was in the UFC, man. Everything that Ronda was about, I was behind, you know. Just a middle finger to the world. I'm going to just bash them. You stack them, I'll bash them. So I was so high on Ronda. I had so much expectation because I knew what she's capable of. And at WrestleMania, I was like, this is just the beginning. Unfortunately, it wasn't. I don't know if it just wasn't her dedicating herself to it or she just didn't get this. But that's what happened, man. It was the perfect storm of she just didn't get this the way we thought. Vince took the training wheels off, maybe too soon, but the booking was not there either for Ronda. But we've seen many times where wrestlers don't get good booking, but they're so damn good that they made a path for themselves. Ronda could never find that. And the women's division was in shambles under Vince and still under Hunter Hearst Helmsley. I mean, you look at the way the women are booked. You know, a couple 2-3 things here and there, all right. But for the most part, the entire division, it's still irrelevant. And that's sad. So Ronda had a lot going against her. She needed to work overtime. I don't know if she did. But and anyway, that's a whole different conversation. Ivan, and she is pregnant now anyway, but she has recently, Ivan, said that she's done wrestling. She is officially retired full time. She recently said that. So it doesn't matter if BC even thinks that she will one. And I know people can always go back on that when the money is right. But I think, honestly, now with a couple of kids and the farm that she loves to be on, I don't think you're going to see Ronda full-time ever. I don't think she ever was. She wasn't full-time anyway. She did more dates than we thought. She wasn't just straight up part-time. But she's never going to be one of those individuals that is full-time. I don't think WWE is going to find much use for her, especially after what she said about the company. And as far as she'll only come back if she gets Logan Paul treatment, yes, Logan gets time to work out his matches, but there's one key element that's missing from Ronda's statement, the fact that Logan Paul is incredible. Logan Paul just gets this. So even if you have a match where he doesn't get that time, Logan will still go in there and put on something worthy to talk about the next day, week, month, and forward. Right? Ronda didn't have that. That type of athleticism. Ronda was a bash him in the mouth type individual. That's awesome. There was some athleticism for sure, but Logan Paul takes it to another level. You're not going to get that treatment, nor should you. When you debuted, maybe. But they took the training wheels off. You can't go back at that point. Now you have to just ride the bike. Nothing you could do. Somebody, right, you could have went in for a sandwich, left your bike in the yard. Somebody came around the neighborhood, took off your training wheels. They stole them. You come out. You can either throw away the bike or put it in the basement until you feel comfortable, riding it a year or 2 years down the line, or you could just get on the bike and learn how to ride it without the training wheels. Ronda could not figure it out. Vince did not help her, by the way. So, and I think Ivan also said that she had mentioned before that she likes Triple H more than Vincent Kennedy McMahon, but she didn't have the kindest words about Hunter when she left either. You got to remember what she said. She was like, I'm hearing that it's better backstage with Hunter, but that remains to be seen, or something like that. That's a paraphrase, but only slight. She was like, yeah, I'll believe that when I see it. That wasn't putting a lot of credit with HHH. He was huge with her at first. And I think something was happening attitude-wise backstage, and Vince was like falling off, and I think Hunter was following suit, as he always does with his father-in-law. But there was a wedge there. But there's no doubt she'd be more inclined to work under Hunter than Vince. That's obvious. There's Hunter Hearst Helmsley guys, Triple H guys, and there's Vince McMahon guys. Our story that we're going to jump into with John Cena, right? We all know John Cena is a Vince McMahon guy. Chris Jericho is a Vince McMahon guy. As much as he tries to trash him and he wants that one match, Goldberg will always be a Vince McMahon guy. Brock Lesnar is a Vince McMahon guy. Bobby Lashley, he's more of a Vince McMahon guy. And then you have a lot of these, NXT dudes, they look at him like Papa H. So Ronda doesn't fall with either, right? Ronda's not a Triple H or a Vince guy, but, she'll be more inclined to say more positive things about Hunter. But I don't think that's going to make a difference, though. Ronda, it's going to be about the bottom dollar. It's not going to be Hunter promising her that all her matches will be well planned out and all that. I don't see that happening. But Ivan the Saint, thank you for the super chat. Really good discussion. We're supposed to be talking John Cena. This was only supposed to be about a 20-minute upload. So much for that, man. BC had a lot of coffee. And, this is a good discussion, man. Ronda back, and she had just declared that she is done full-time. That is breaking news to a lot of you guys. You probably don't even know that. She is done full-time. If she ever comes back to pro wrestling, it'll just be sporadically. Again, I just don't know if WWE is going to want that, especially after what she said about the company. Ivan and Reese, I appreciate the coffees big time, honestly. All you guys in yesterday's upload, in those comments, you guys, man, you guys rocked out, man. You got authentic BC with the volume turned up. It's entertainment. It's YouTube, right? So I have to entertain as well. I mean, we weren't that upset about pro wrestling. We don't go into Starbucks. I always say this. We don't start power bombing baristas because a pro wrestling show wasn't good the night before. So, I'm entertaining you guys, but that's authentic BC. This show really did just kind of break me in a way. Yes, I was just done with it. I'm like, Raw is so bad, man. SmackDown ain't much better. In fact, a lot of weeks, somehow, it comes out worse. But Raw is just a chore to get through that 3 hours. Hunter Hearst Helmsley admits that. 3 different interviews, Hunter said that third hour is a killer. That third hour is so hard to book. He says, I'm like, Hunter, all 3 hours is hard to book for you, bro. But even Hunter says 3 hours of Monday Night Raw is a drag. That's the head of creative. So you're damn right. BC's not going to argue with that. BC's not going to argue with Hunter. 3 hours of Raw is too much. Make it 2. Netflix has to make that 2. And guess what? There's too much money on the line. They just spent way too much money. $5 billion. That's not going to 2 hours. That's going to stay 3 hours. The problem is, nobody wants to sit through 3 hours of anything. They're trying to get football games in under 2.5 hours. Baseball, they're trying to get these games under 2 hours. Now there's pitch clocks for the pitchers and the batters. Because they've done studies. Nobody wants to sit through 3. It's a microwave society. In, out. That's what she said. Microwave society. And you got every Monday night watch 3 hours. If this was like other eras, I won't mention the exact eras, but there's been other eras where if we had some of that, maybe it'd be so exciting the 3 hours would fly by. For most fans, it's not. If you're there live, I understand, right? When you pay a ticket and you're there, it's a different atmosphere, right? You just want to start yelling, "This is awesome!" for every single match. 2 minutes in, 2 minutes, and they got a good sequence, and there's a pause in the action. Ready, guys? Section 202, you with me? 4:15. You guys ready? 1, 2, 3. This is awesome. Come on, 2:25. Right? Because there's a pause in the action after 2 minutes. We gotta yell, this is awesome. Or maybe fight forever. Or maybe you deserve it. Even if it's a heel winning a championship. Every single time you win a title, we have to chant you deserve it. Braun Breaker got it. Nia Jax got it. Gunther got it. They're all heels. All heels. But we have to, the fans have to make sure that they know, Braun Breaker just got to the main roster. What do you mean he deserves it? Gunther's only been there 2 years. What do you mean he deserves it? Nia Jax, this isn't the first title she's won. What do you mean she deserves it? Is it because they work hard? They bust their ass? Because if that's the case, then we have to yell, you deserves it to everybody. If Tozawa wins a title, tag title, or speed, we have to say you deserve it. Fucking Kalani Jordan could come up to the main roster, win a championship immediately, and we'll yell to Kalani, you deserve it! She's a North American Women's Champion in NXT, by the way, for those that don't know. Anyway, guys, I started by saying thank you to everybody. That upload, that was a wild Raw review, so much fun. Because it was just authentic, and it was just BC just reaching his breaking point and going, no, I'm done with this show. I'm not just going to put somebody on a pedestal just because it's not Vince. I still need a show that is worthy of my praise, man. I'm not just going to lower my standards. This show for 3 hours produced nothing. And you guys rose to the occasion, man. You guys were the absolute best. You guys were on fire. And I appreciate that so much. So not even just the super thanks super chats, but just all your input as well, and just knowing that it ain't just BC, bro. I know that there are so many that are watching for 3 hours every Monday and going, what did I just watch? What happened? Like, what of substance? What is making me come back next week to watch this show? What? John Cena, let's talk about it. So John Cena, by the way, he recently just signed a new lifetime contract with WWE. What that means, guys, he's still retiring next year in December. But after that, he's going to be an ambassador for WWE for life. Basically what Rock is. Rock signed the same type of deal. Rock's got like 3 different WWE deals. Something like that. But John Cena is now a literal lifer, as we already knew. I don't think Undertaker signed this type of contract. But trust me when I say Undertaker is as well. But that's not the news, this lifetime contract with Jonathan Cena. John Cena recently says the following when asked who the GOAT is. From Shannon Sharp, I believe, asked this question. And John Cena says the following, and I quote, Roman Reigns. He's been in it since 2012. I had to work my way up. I started on the bench and then got onto the Saturday program and lost every match. He came in, meaning Roman Reigns, he came in with the Shield in a high-level spot and never wavered. Even when the fans didn't like him, he was still in the main event spot. He's been in a main event lens for over a decade now. And in 2012, the stock was trading at $11. Now, TKO stock is at $117. That's on his shoulders. And then he says, that's some serious shit. That's some serious shit. End quote from John Cena. Let's break that down a little bit, because that's the highest praise you can give him. It wasn't that long ago. It didn't seem that long ago. I guess it was many years ago. But when John Cena was staring across Roman, and Roman forgot his lines live on Monday Night Raw, live, and Roman forgot his lines. And John Cena looked at him, and instead of throwing a life preserver, a lifeline, and to help him, John Cena said, it's called a promo. If you're going to be the big dog, you're going to have to learn how to cut him. And he buried Roman Reigns live on Monday Night Raw. And it wasn't the first time, it wasn't the 5th or 10th time. John Cena has done that throughout his career. When he can help you, he instead buries you. And he very much took that Hulk Hogan approach where I'm the guy and I have to make sure I stay there. And John Cena did that. John Cena buried Roman Reigns. So to hear this type of praise, what a 180. Or a complete 360, a complete spin around. But when I say like John Cena always wanted to make sure that he was on top, we all know that, right? He clogged the highway. I always use that example. Basically, if you're on a highway, one car is just clogging it, right? Going left, going right, blocking everybody. So nobody can get up around you. You're in the fast lane, the slow lane, the breakdown lane. You're everywhere. You're not letting anybody go back. That's what happened when Cena refused to go heel. There was other faces that were ready to break out, but Cena would not relinquish that top face spot. Right? Even at times when it was time to go heel, even if for a little bit, let the fans regroup, learn to love you again, and then come back even as a bigger face. But he never even tried. He always loved the make-a-wishes. He always loved being the face of the company in one aspect or another. He didn't want to relinquish that. And there was times where many faces were about to propel. A lot of people just mentioned like the CM Punks, but there was dudes like Alex Riley that was quickly gaining momentum and steam. And not only did he not get out of the way for Alex Riley, he actually was a big part, or at least the story goes anyway, and Alex Riley believes this as well. The story goes that John Cena was a big reason that Alex Riley was never seen again in WWE. All right, John Cena blocked the highway. This is a different John Cena today. John Cena now is about helping the kids out and bringing up the next generation and heaping praise upon it. But when he was in it, he basically took on that Hulk Hogan persona of it's me at the top and I got to make sure nobody overtakes it, right? Remember, he buried Rock live on Monday Night Raw. Live. The Rock didn't have his lines memorized, so he had it written on his hand. The Rock wrote his lines on his hand, or at least some of them. And John Cena brought that up in his promo live. How he doesn't have to write his lines on his hand. I forgot the exact quote, but that was, you guys could check it out. And from that point on, Rock was furious with John Cena. It helped. That was a real, that tension was real, guys. I don't know if you know the behind the scenes of that. That was not, John Cena literally thought Rock just abandoned WWE for Hollywood, which is ironic because now Cena's in that position. But he has made mention to that many times. But he really thought that. And then when he was trying to bury The Rock live on television, The Rock was furious. And that tension, man, you could cut that with a knife, as Gorilla Monsoon used to say. Or Jesse the Body Ventura as well. So it's just, that was always John Cena's approach, right? Just kind of hold everybody down, to listen to him. First of all, to see him come back over the last 2 years and put everybody over, get annihilated by Solo Sikoa, lose at WrestleMania to guys like Austin Theory that unfortunately I just don't know if they're ever going to get over in this company, not even beating John Cena. But he would put all these people over. And I'm like, wow, this is a different John Cena. And now to listen to him put Roman Reigns on that pedestal, that's wild, man. It's pretty cool. Do you agree that Roman Reigns is the guy? That might be another story. You know, John Cena listed his 4 Mount Rushmore individuals. They go as follows. Roman Reigns, number 1. John Cena's Mount Rushmore then places The Rock, Dwayne Johnson at number 2. The 2 top guys that he buried live on television. That's what I mean about a completely different John Cena. More mature, maybe? Roman Reigns, number 1. Rock, number 2. He put Steve Austin at number 3 and Hulk Hogan, number 4. It's a pretty damn good list. It's a pretty damn valid and viable Mount Rushmore. If you guys don't have those 4, would you take 1, 2, or maybe would you switch the whole 4? You take out all 4. That's not my 4. Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels, who knows? Sting. It is very, maybe you put Jericho up there. I don't know, man. Some people, again, it's valid and silly would be the conversation because there is no right and wrong. It's just valid and silly, right? Even if you wanted to put a Kurt Angle on the Mount Rushmore of greatest of all time, I mean, you can't really say somebody's wrong because I'm sure they can make a case. But if you would have put, like, as much as I love the dude, Tito Santana, if you would have put Tugboat or one of my favorites of all time, Big Boss Man, on the Mount Rushmore, that's just being silly. They were great to people like BC, no question, some of my favorites. But Mount Rushmore, man, that's elite. And I do love, this was a quote by John Cena. He said, why he does not put himself on the Mount Rushmore. Why John Cena does not think that he is one of the greatest of all times, one of the GOATs. John Cena says because he doesn't feel he elevated the business. Whereas the four that he mentioned, they elevated the business to another level. Roman Reigns to where business is today. Stone Cold, we know what he did in that Attitude Era. The Rock continues to do today. Hulk Hogan in the Golden Era, putting the company on his back. John Cena's like, there's no room for me on that Mount Rushmore. He admits that when Cena was at the top, and this is unfortunate, John Cena's telling you this, when he was at the top, business never improved. Business didn't pop off. Business was stagnant and even went down. That was the start of the ratings decline. A lot of that was from Vince and Kennedy McMahon just giving up, it seemed. But John Cena just remained at the top while business remained stagnant. It never was elevated. And it wasn't until John Cena, this is unfortunate because I started to like John Cena as he kind of got closer to the end of his full-time run. Unfortunately. Because I always saw like he was everything he is saying now. I saw that in real time. And I was like, come on, man, John, you got to move a little bit over, man. Business is suffering because you're not changing things up. And they refuse to change things for over 10 years. And it wasn't until Jonathan Cena kind of moved up or started to really move off. And now that was a mixture of a lot of things, right? You also had TKO, Endeavor bought the company, and Nick Khan and Endeavor had a new business model. They want to take it outside the U.S. So Endeavor and Nick Khan is what, I mean, he says that it was Roman Reigns. He says, and I quote, that's on his shoulders where the stock is today. He says that's some serious shit. And yes, you can give Roman that credit. You could give Hunter Hearst Helmsley some of the credit if you want, but who's really to give the credit to is Nick Khan, guys. I don't think you guys understand. He's the one that catapulted to taking WWE outside the States. Nick Khan and Endeavor, they had these conversations for a long time. And they said, let's just go. And that's when you start to see business. And then back here in the States, the kids, right? Because these shows are catered to the audience that is just going to accept everything, right? Don't criticize it. They love the kids dragging out their parents because they know that's the audience. No matter what they put out there on the show, you're going to hear, this is awesome. They love that. So that's what they mean when they say business is booming. They mean WWE's business is booming because AEW would tell you it's not. Their ratings are going backwards. They're having trouble filling out their arenas. The local bingo hall can't even get 50 people at the local bingo hall every Saturday and Sunday. And that's their big nights. TNA will tell you that for the last 15 years, ow, how's business? Ow, we need a Band-Aid. When they say business is booming, they mean WWE's bottom dollar is booming because they went outside the States. They're bringing in the kids, those families. I assure you, it's not because the product is just, it's over the top incredible. This is like Attitude Era. It's not that. So it's not just on John Cena, like once he moved away, now business can go on better than ever. No, there was many things that were added into that, but one of the things that had to happen, unfortunately, was the same old John Cena had to be shelved. So that's why he does not put himself on the Mount Rushmore. That's wild, you know, because a lot of people, a lot of fans, a lot of people in the industry, they do put John Cena on the Rushmore. He says absolutely not. If you look at the numbers, I did not elevate the business. Wild. Who do you guys have as the greatest of all time? John Cena has declared it is indeed Roman Reigns. That's a monumental statement, right? John Cena in his position in WWE and where he will stay for all of time in many people's minds. But he has declared that Roman has surpassed him. That's wild, man. It's absolutely wild. Guys, that's what I got for you. This went way longer than it was supposed to, but that's what happens when you have a lot of coffee and a lot of good conversation. Until next time, and there will be that next time. Top guys, we're out. BC in the unit saying check you. Peace.